Glazing is a game changer for acrylic artists. It adds so much depth and dimension to your work. In this video, I'll show you 4 different ways you can use this in your paintings. Hi there, I'm Janine. I'm an artist and I share my creative journey on this channel. Glazing is just a fancy word for adding a transparent layer. I love this technique because it makes your colours look harmonious and it adds so much depth. Let me show you 4 different ways you can add those beautiful transparent layers to your painting. First, I want to show you the traditional method of glazing where you use a glazing liquid. So I've got this one by Golden, and then you mix that with some paint. I've actually got some pre-mixed paint here. And you can mix it in a little tub, but I'm lazy, so I like to mix it straight on my canvas. To make it really smooth, it's best to use a soft brush. So I've got this, it's actually a makeup brush. I really like this, it's got really soft bristles. So I'm putting a little bit of paint on my canvas. You can either glaze the whole canvas or you can just glaze little sections. So I'm adding a little bit of paint and then I'm going in with my glazing fluid. It might be easier to do this on a flat surface if you are mixing straight on the canvas, but it does work. You just have to make sure you get everything that's running around. And the glazing liquid has a little bit of retarder in it. That means you've got more working time to get your paint spread before it dries. And it's also basically a bit like a gloss medium. So it just makes your paint a little bit more transparent. It just dilutes it. And it also makes it a little bit more liquid because it's a glazing liquid. The more liquid you add, glazing liquid you add, the more transparent it gets. You also don't have to use a medium with your paint, especially if you have a transparent paint. You could just go straight in. And the thinner your layer, the more transparent your glaze is going to be. So I'm just doing this little section for now. Is there anywhere else I want to add that? Maybe down here. Might add a little bit more here. I'm just showing you the pure paint without the glazing liquid. If you like this video, consider subscribing. And depending on your paint, this is quite opaque because I've mixed titanium white into this. So you can only see a little bit of the layer underneath. You see here it's much more transparent. And when you mix it with the glazing liquid, the liquid is actually white, but it dries clear. So that means that right now it looks a bit chalky, more than it will be when it's dry. When it's dry, the liquid dries clear, so you only got the actual colour. So it always looks a little bit more white than it will once it's dry. So here I've also got a transparent layer without the glazing liquid, but it's not as transparent as it would be with the liquid. I actually want to show you a little bonus tip, and that is to use some sort of scraping tool rather than a brush. And I just take some paint and that creates a lot more texture. It also can create a transparent layer if you apply a little bit of pressure with your scraping tool, but it will add more texture than with a soft brush. So I often like to glaze that way. And it's just really fun to scrape the paint around, I find. The next technique I want to show you for glazing is not your traditional type of glazing. It's basically dry brushing. And it's best to use some sort of textured brush for this, like a one with stronger bristles. But you can do dry brushing with a soft brush as well. I always dampen my brush, so I've dipped it in water and then you wipe off the excess, so it's just a tiny bit damp. You don't want it to be completely dry because then the paint really sticks to your brush. And then you take just the tiniest bit of paint, well, a little bit of paint, and start brushing over your surface. Sort of scrubbing like this. And that will also apply a transparent layer simply by creating a texture, so it's not covering the whole surface. And I find this quite a fun way of adding a transparent layer. The next way you can use glazing is by adding some water-soluble media. So instead of using acrylic paint, you can take something like a Neocolor II crayon, which I've got here, or some sort of water-soluble pencil, for example, or soft pastels. And then you just apply a thin layer. This is very good for getting it quite precise, sort of precise, but still leaving some room for happy accidents. So you just go over the area where you want a different colour. It doesn't have to be super even. I like if there's a little bit of texture in that as well. And then you take your brush dipped in water, or even better would be some sort of liquid medium. And then you activate that water-soluble pigment. And that creates a really thin layer of colour. And because this is you can reactivate this, I would then, once this is dry, fix it with a spray fixative so it doesn't move around after. You can see here, compared to the red area, how this has gotten a lot more green. Do a little bit down here where it's a bit lighter. You can maybe see it a bit better. And then the fourth technique I want to show you is by using inks. So you don't have to use acrylic paint, or like I've just showed you, you can use other media. But the nice thing about ink is that they're already very liquid, which means they spread really well. And most of the time they're also quite transparent already. It depends on which pigment you buy. But generally speaking, ink tends to be quite transparent. So again, you can mix that if you don't have the colour ready in a little bottle that you want to apply to the painting. You can mix it in a little tub or something, but I just like to do it straight on the canvas because you see it kind of already creates some interesting things here. That looks a little bit unfortunate with the red dripping down like that. Let's add some yellow. I'm just going to catch that. I added some medium onto this canvas and I think it's making the paint bead up a little bit. I want to add a bit more yellow. It's very red. And you also don't have to glaze with one colour at a time. You can mix them and have some areas more one colour, other colours more, other areas more of the other colour. Like this is getting more yellow, whereas down here it's more red. And if you wanted, you could glaze with one colour over the whole painting, and that would also make all your colours really harmonious, because basically one colour would be in all of the colours. I actually made a video on using a mother colour, which is the same principle. I'll link that down below for you. Have you tried all of these techniques before? And which one is your favourite? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see how you can add great texture to your painting, take a look at the video I've linked in the description box. Thanks and bye bye. You take a sort of medium, well, let's start again.